Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of Against All Odds. And as I say at the beginning of every podcast, this is purely selfish podcast because I get to speak to the most inspirational people. And it's so important for me to get these people's stories out as well. So it's not only for me to listen to, but for you as well. And today we've got an absolute legend who somebody messaged me a while ago saying you need this man on your podcast, and I listened and read about his journey and I thought he's perfect. So I'd love to welcome Alex Clapp to the stage. How are you, my lovely?
I've never had that type of introduction before. I actually feel a little bit embarrassed. I actually do genuinely feel a little bit embarrassed. That was absolutely lovely, and thank you very much. You've made me blush. Genuinely, yeah, you've made me blush a little bit. No, I'm absolutely fabulous, and thank you very much for having me. It's my pleasure, not yours. So yeah, thank you very much.
So you're really busy at the minute, and you're all over the country with your Clartiee events for corporates and Club Clartiee as well, which are alcohol-free events.
Alcohol-free events, yeah. So yeah, I am literally everywhere at the moment, and Ben and I set Clartiee up 18 months ago, and I had probably an overly optimistic vision of, we're inside a couple of years being all over the country, and that sort of optimisms had to be put into reality, and sort of said, 5 to 10 years, I'm not in a rush, it's going to take time, and let's just take things steady and slowly and do it the right way. But yeah, we're growing, and we're getting noticed. I'm just loving doing some amazing stuff and working with amazing people. It's probably the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. And it's so nice to meet so many amazing other people, and so many people who want to help other people, do good things, lead the way. And yeah, it's really exciting, to be honest.
I love that. And we spoke about before the podcast about that many of my guests have a massive reason why they're going out and impacting so many people, and you have a big why. Tell me how your journey to this started.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I guess I have got a fairly big why. So about 6 years ago, I got diagnosed with having some eye problems, and I lost 90% sight in my left eye. And a couple of years ago, it looked like I was going to go pretty much completely blind. And I was having to prepare myself mentally and physically for that coming. And luckily, it's still an undiagnosed cause, and it's an undiagnosed condition, and I'm not sure what it is. And they say I'm an anomaly. Maybe that's true in more ways than one, but luckily I've managed to stabilize the sight in my right eye. And but it took me on a fairly dark journey, to be honest. And I'm of a certain age. I'm 44 years old, and I grew up in an era where I didn't speak about anything, didn't speak about my emotions, didn't open up, didn't talk. My dad's never cried in front of me. We never got asked how we were emotionally or anything like that. It just wasn't the done thing back then. So I've always been very shut off and very closed emotionally. So I did what I always have been taught, or taught myself, I guess, and just bottled it all up and shut down and pretended to the outside world that everything was fine, and buried my head in the sand like an ostrich. And that took me down a dark road of finding numbing myself with alcohol. And I did a pretty good job of it, to be honest, because I managed to get myself to a phase of becoming an out and out outrageous alcoholic, to the point I was drinking vodka all day, every day, from first thing in the morning till when I would have any sleep. And I was a mess. I was a complete mess. And I got to the stage where I didn't even care whether I was still here anymore. And
Yeah.
I genuinely didn't, there was nothing in this world that had any meaning to me anymore. I have got an amazing family. I've got my son is like my superpower. I've got amazing friends, amazing colleagues, and I'll be honest, none of it mattered. None of it mattered anymore, and it's really quite sad, looking back and thinking about it. But I just did not care. I took myself down that horrible dark road, and I really didn't care if I was here anymore. I could have like literally just, yeah, it was sad. It was really sad. It was very dark. It was very lonely. Um, yeah, I'm filling up just thinking about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I'm like, it's making me quite emotional. Because it's not, it's something you take for granted. I'm nearly, 22 months clean and sober, and the journey I'm on now and the life I've got now is so polar opposite. But at the time, I just couldn't see a way out, and I didn't even feel like I wanted a way out. It was the easier thing was to stay in the pain and just to keep numbing it than actually take a step out of it and begin to face, some of the things I needed to address and deal with. Um, yeah, it
Interesting.
was.
Did you find because you were so special with your eye condition, nobody knew that you couldn't resonate with anybody? And like losing your sight is pretty scary, isn't it?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It was very, and the simple things like walking into stuff, and I'd make a joke of it. I'd walk into lampposts, or I'd walk in,
Yeah,
bang into things, and you just make a joke of it. And for the outside world, it's funny. And obviously, with your sight, nobody actually knows that you've got, that something's going on, because from the outside, nobody can tell, because it's in
yeah,
my vision is my vision, isn't it? Nobody else can see what I see. So and I guess because I remember going to London at one point for a second opinion, and I had 7 different doctors queue up to have a look in my eyes, and it was like, yeah, that was strange, but everybody wanted to have a look because it was
mm,
something that nobody could diagnose or nobody knew about. So when you're something different, um, I think the hardest bit potentially was that there was no cause. There was no cause, or there was no, you know, cure. So there was nothing, that you could do.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
was just learning to have to accept that it is what it is. Um, and that's how it is. There's,
yeah.
that was the bit, because I was probably looking for a fix, or looking to find out what it was, and looking, to find an
And
answer.
no answers.
Yeah, there was no answers. There was no
So I
answers.
suppose if they said to you, right, Alex, this is what's causing it, you could have stopped doing what was causing it. So
Yeah,
it's
of course. Yeah,
like
exactly.
so you'd end up nervous of doing anything because you'd be thinking, right, is this going to make it worse? Is it?
Yeah, 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 exactly. And it's like, yeah, it was. Do you know what? It was a challenge. It was a challenge mentally,
Mm,
and but I've almost, I've changed my life around in the fact that I'm not in control of everything and anything that goes on. I'm only in control of myself.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, and so I just accept that whatever's meant to be will happen. And whatever happens, I'll work with it.
mm,
By worrying about it, it's not going to change. By trying to find answers, it's not going to change. Whatever's going to be is going to be. And
yeah,
I'm living my life on that basis. And so far in the last 22 months, it's been a pretty good basis to follow.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so and I look at it as it's a journey. It's a journey. It's been a proper journey for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very privileged and very lucky in the fact that I've come out the other side. I've come out the
Yeah,
other side, and it's given me a massive passion and a massive belief to want to try and help some other people. Um,
absolutely. So what happened 22 months ago for you to go, right, I can't keep doing this, I've got to change? Because that's a big mindset shift that a lot of people don't reach.
Yeah, my superpower, my son was the big pivotal turning point for me when we were on my mum and dad's drive, and he looked at me and he went, "You're 42 and you still need your parents. I'm 17 and I need you, Dad." And that was my biggest turning point. As soon as he told me he needed me, I accepted that I needed to change. I needed to find a way. I needed to find a way. And, however that was, and I went back into another rehab after that. And yeah, I found a way. I found a way, to find acceptance and find, that I couldn't control everything. I wasn't in control of everything and anything in the world. And yeah, it was,
Thank God
sometimes.
he said that, right?
Yeah, and do you know what? Again, though, I have that belief that everything happens for a reason, and had he, I probably, yeah, I don't know where I don't even know if I'd still be here. And I again, I say I'm one of the lucky ones that I heard what I needed to hear from the person I needed to hear it from, and
Yeah.
the person the closest to me. Yeah.
It's funny that, isn't it? Because I grew up where alcohol was a problem in my family. And at the time when people are self-soothing with alcohol, they don't tend to think about the people around them, do they? Until somebody pipes up.
Yeah.
It's like a completely inward.
Yeah, I think it's because obviously I was stuck in that alcoholism and the addiction, and you don't listen. You don't listen to anybody else. But that was the point, that being asked that he needed me, and he wasn't telling me not to drink. He was just telling me that he needed me. It wasn't anything to do with what I was doing. It was just that he needed me. And I think that was the biggest turning point, that realizing that my son needs me. And the only way I was going to be around for him is if I could sort myself out.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't any help or any assistance to him in the state I was in at that time. So yeah, it was a big turning point. A big turning point, definitely, and I'll forever be grateful of that.
Yeah. So you went into rehab. How was that? Because it's not an easy thing, is it?
Well, so yeah, that wasn't my first rodeo, shall we say. So I've done, over a couple of years, I've done a few different rehabs, and not just in the UK, I've been abroad as well. And I'm very privileged to have been able to do that, with the support of my family, as well as myself, because obviously they were besides themselves and wanted to try and help and do anything, to get me through it. Um, and in total, I think I did 5 months in various different rehabs, over a 2-year period or something. So I did an incredible amount of work on myself. And at one phase, I'd done 3 months solid in one rehab, and obviously decided in my own brain that I'd fixed myself and that I was not an alcoholic anymore, and come out and I could drink. So what did I do? That's exactly what I did, and basically proved to myself that once you go past that barometer, point in your brain, there is no going back. And
Yeah.
I'm not that special that I am the one person in the world that can do it.
Oh, many think it though. Many think
Oh
that.
yeah, oh yeah. Everybody thinks it. Everybody thinks it. Um, and that's part of the addiction, isn't it? That you actually
Yeah.
believe that you haven't got it, and that you can beat it, and it's not you, and all the rest of it, all the other stuff. And I did. I battled with it for a couple of years. I battled with it for a couple of years. And once I threw in the towel, it became a lot easier once I threw in the towel, once I actually said, okay, I can't beat it. I've beaten, I've managed to beat everything else in my life. I've managed to never be beat by anything. And it's not a question of getting beat. I've got it. I'm an alcoholic. I'm an addict. So I've got that, bit in my brain now that I am an addict, and there's no going back. So I accept that I'm an addict, and the only way for me is not to pick up, not to pick up that first drink. And okay, so I have to change my life. I have to do something different.
Yeah.
And I have to, find a new, a new journey for myself,
Yeah.
which is exciting now. To be honest, it was hard at the beginning, and for anybody else, it's hard at the beginning, and those small changes that you make to look after yourself, to do something different, they're big winners,
Yeah.
Because why would I choose to go into a pub, when I'm first stopped drinking,
Yeah.
and be
Yeah.
tempted? I'm not going to do it because it's not going to be helpful for me.
Yeah. Absolutely. But you said like you've done a lot of work on yourself, and that's key, isn't it? Because you could stop something, but if you don't work on the mindset that put you in that position in the first place, you are fighting a losing battle.
1,000,000%. Yeah, you can be
Yeah.
what they call as a dry drunk, where you just stop the
Right.
drink, and you might be able to white knuckle it for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, whatever, but it will keep coming back because you have to change things. Whatever has got you to that point, you need to address, and you need to change it. You need to make some changes, some different mindset changes. And my mindset, I still work on myself every single day mentally,
Yeah.
because and I know I need to, and I'll do that for the rest of my life now. Because, and I compare it to, I always say this, but I compare it to a professional athlete trains every single day. So
Yeah.
what's the difference? Then if a professional athlete trains every single day, then why aren't I working on myself mentally every single day? And it's actually a really good routine to get into, you know, and I find it really empowering. I do find it really empowering. Just to have a little check in with myself, and have I done something wrong? Have I spoke to somebody bad? Why did I get angry about something? What's annoyed me today? And all the rest of it. It's, could I have dealt with something slightly better? All the other stuff. And accepting that I still have those thoughts, those feelings. I can't control what comes into my mind,
Mm.
because some random stuff comes into my mind loads, and I can't control that. But the only thing I can control is what I do with it.
Yeah.
If I have
Abs-
a mad thought of going on a big massive rave bender, and I can have that thought, and I can go, yeah, okay, yeah, that's a thought, but I can choose whether I go, okay, let's do it, yeah, that'll be really good, or I can
yeah. Yeah.
choose whether I go, yeah, okay, that's a really nice thought to have, and the reality of it is will be X, Y, and Z, and then you're going to end up ruining everything. You're going to be in a mess again, and is that really going to help me? And I'll go, no. Okay, so let's move on.
Yeah. That's so true. It's like all about the self-awareness. It's like you can get people that go to the gym every day,
Yeah.
right, and work their muscles out, but they don't actually work on their own mindset and their own brain. So what you said there, I massively back to the hills. Like, so important for everybody to do, because that's where we fall into bad habits and
But
traps.
do you know what? Do you know what? The brain work is the hardest to do, but it's the most powerful.
Yeah.
But it is the most powerful, and you can control so much. And with the brain work, I always go on about this, and I always say, if everybody in the world had 28 days to work on themselves, not necessarily in rehab, but to actually work on themselves, and some of that would be brain work, or the way you look at things, the world would be a million times better place.
Absolutely.
And it would, because people would, you know, give consideration to what might somebody else be going through, you know, understanding as to if somebody's having a tough time, they might snap, you know, or anything, you know, just anything where it's not just reactive, you know, where you're just reacting straight away, where it's actually, okay, let's think about it and let's reply. Let's
Yeah.
reply after we've processed and thought about, you know, were they actually rude to me and did they mean it? And are they just having a really hard time at the moment? You know, and I'm not saying if somebody is rude to you, you know, and it's blatantly rude, then yeah, you should say, you know, I feel like you were just rude to me.
Mm.
Using the word "I feel" is a very powerful, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
tool. It's a powerful tool because nobody can question your own feeling,
Hmm.
uh,
Absolutely.
which is interesting for me. Which is yeah, and I could talk about the mindset and the thing all day,
I
all
mean,
the
this could
all.
be a very long podcast.
Yeah, I know. I'm always like, yeah, but
Yeah.
honestly, yeah, I'm a massive advocate on the mind and the work you do on your mind and
Yeah.
how you process things, how you deal with things. Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
definitely a game changer. So you used alcohol, like many, as a stress reliever. So what do you do now? Because we all get stressed. We can't avoid it.
1,000,000% I get stressed. Yeah,
Yeah. So what do you
so I needed, I always like, I've always been busy. I've always been busy. And I have a passion for helping kids and stuff. With my son, I coached his football team, his cricket team, and helped at his rugby when from his early years. So I've always loved and, you know, enjoyed working with kids, the
Mhm.
younger. So I moved to Nantwich 18 months ago, and I went and walked into the boxing club, the local boxing club, and asked could I come and help. And I then went and did my coaching certificate, and yeah, I coach 3 times a week and give something back. It's all like it's a non-for-profit organisation, and it's all basically run because volunteers. And Si and Claire set it up, you know, do an amazing thing for the community, and it's just lovely. It's lovely, you know, to be part of a community, you know, to be giving up and investing in some of the kids and some of the adults as well, teaching the adults now, and giving something back. And for me, that's my downtime where
Yeah, yeah.
I go to the club, I put my phone in the cupboard and I don't touch it for a couple of
Mhm.
hours and I get that relaxation. It's not relaxation, but it's mental downtime, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
where it's interacting, having the camaraderie with everyone in the club, having the fun, you know, taking the mickey out of each other, giving each other grief, you know, and yeah, and that's my sort of de-stress, as well as my own training. I still train myself a couple of times a week as well, and it's just finding a balance because we can
Yeah,
all
yeah.
try and overcommit, can't we? And say, when I first went, I wanted to be coaching every single night, and as a true addict, it was like, yes, I've got to coach every single night, and I've got to do this. And I was like, then finding I was pulling myself from pillar to post, and it's now I've got it down to 3 times a week, and it's a nice balance. I look forward to it every time, and I have lots of fun. And that's
Mhm.
where you've got to find the balance and make sure you do it on a level, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, it's a bit of a
Now she
touchy
says. Now
no,
she
bit
says.
of a touchy subject. So I did interview a sober coach a few months ago, and we went on a right rant about this. Alcohol is one of those things that is probably the most dangerous to us. It's got direct links with cancer and neurologically is quite disastrous. Yet you can get it absolutely anywhere.
Yeah,
And as society, we use it to celebrate. We use it as a stress relief. We
yeah,
use it if we've had a long day at work.
yeah,
We can use it, we can literally tie it to any event in our life and come up with a reason to go to any shop in the country and buy it so easily. Now, Well, how do you feel about that? Because I believe alcohol is a big problem for our country.
Yeah, I do. Okay, so what is my take on it? My take is the easiest way of giving my take would be I've had time to reflect, and I take it back to the first 13 years of my life when I was a child. I danced, played games, interacted, was silly, had loads of fun, and I'd never had a drink.
Mm.
I'd never had a drink for those 13 years, and I'd had a brilliant time.
Yeah.
I'd had some tough times, but I'd had brilliant times as well,
Mm.
and I'd never needed a drink. So I look at it and go, so if I had not come into the world of that we live in or that we've lived in, where it's, advocated and basically it's the done thing, would my life have been different? And I think, yeah, my life would have been a lot different if I'd never drunk. Um, and I question if alcohol didn't exist, would it be allowed to be brought in from tomorrow? And I think the answer is no, no, it wouldn't. And that is a very, very powerful fact that now that we know what it does, the harm it does, the amount of people it affects, and there's too much money made from it. Let's put it
Yeah.
straight. There's too much money
Yeah.
made from it, and we have all become accustomed to just using it. To have a good time, a bad
Oh,
time. Yeah, and
yeah.
it just becomes the norm, doesn't it? It just becomes the norm. Um, whereas you look at heroin, and if heroin was given to everybody, there'd be uproar. There'd be
Yeah.
absolutely uproar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, absolutely. So we spoke, like I said before on the podcast, and Marcus made a point of going, right, if the government banned alcohol tomorrow and instead said, here's a little tablet of ethanol that is
yeah,
going to be toxic to your body, everybody would be like rioting.
yeah, of
But
course,
it's
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
same tablet form than it is in a can or bottle of alcohol.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's mad. It's mad, and it's yeah, it's just the way the world, and to be fair, it's like I would say as well, it's like the gambling, isn't it? It's like the gambling.
Mm,
So many people, fall down the rabbit hole of getting, addicted to gambling and all the rest of it because there's so much money. They've regulated it where they have to do the, gamble aware and all the, sensible stuff these days to stop it going, but it's the same thing, isn't it?
yeah,
It's not good for you, but it's accepted because so much money is made from it.
yeah, you're so right. It's interesting because I've had quite a few conversations about this. So I don't drink, and if I go out, like whether it's to a meal or wherever it is, and as soon as I say, if somebody asks me if I want to drink, and I say no, they'll automatically assume that I'm recovering from an addiction. Or the amount of times I'll have people go, "Aren't you bored with not having a drink?"
Yeah, yeah,
But interestingly enough, a local newspaper, like the Facebook page, put on there the other day that I think it was 25% of 18 to 24-year-olds have now never had an alcoholic drink. Now, I was like, that's amazing. But you should have seen the comments from people going, well, they're missing out on all the fun then. While the rest of the world's having fun, they're not. As a society, we've got a very odd view on people that don't drink.
yeah. Yeah, listen, the word sober is associated with boring.
Oh,
Let's not run away from it. It's true. As soon as you say to somebody sober, everybody goes boring. And that's everybody's perception. And until we can show people, not tell people, because if you try and tell somebody, they're never going to listen. They're never going to listen. And this is why I formed Clartiee and we do
yeah,
Club Clartiee, because it's showing people, it's allowing people to come to experience and to have an amazing time, and to experience it for themselves. Because once somebody's tried something for themselves, they can make an informed decision. Until they try something, they've got no right to say it's boring until you go and try it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm throwing the gauntlet out to people really to go, okay. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say I am never going to tell people not to drink, because I believe that I'm an alcoholic. I'd be a big hypocrite to turn around and say, well, to say to other people, don't drink. And for those who can do it in moderation and enjoy themselves, and you're a good drunk, amazing, congratulations. But there's so many of us that can't, and so many of us that aren't a good drunk, and the alcohol doesn't agree with us. There needs to be a choice and an area where people can come and try something.
Yeah, I keep seeing sober events pop up around the country now, which is great. And I've not been to one, but I'm hearing that the people going to these things are actually growing quite a lot. The audiences are getting, so it's a good indication that people are going, right, okay, do you want to be healthier?
Yeah, I think you're right on touching on the younger people, because the younger people haven't got an issue. The younger people have got the education around stuff, do want to look after themselves, do go to the gym more, do basically look after themselves, eat better, all the rest of it. And they appreciate that alcohol is a depressant, it's, a drug. It's not good for you. It's not something that you should be drinking all the time. And the times are changing. Definitely the times are changing. But, if there's 80 million people in the UK, and say a quarter of those, there's still a lot of people. There's still a lot of people with bad habits around alcohol, and a lot of people's whose perception needs a bit of thought, probably. And I guess I don't know. I'm just a great advocate of. Everybody always goes on, oh, I'm fed up of doing the same thing. Oh, we need to do something different. And then nobody can be bothered. And it's like, well, I tell you what, everyone says, oh, I'm fed up of the same thing. Come and try one of our nights. And last year, we had over 1,000 different people come to our corporate nights.
Wow.
And not one person told me they didn't have a good time.
That's absolutely amazing. So your events, so what goes on in like an alcohol-free night? Describe to anybody that's not been to one of your events what goes on and what happens.
So are we talking the big corporate, or are we talking Club Clartiee?
Let's do both.
Okay, so the big,
so
the big corporate stuff. We have always said that if you take out the alcohol, you need to keep the tempo, fast and upbeat, and you need to create flashpoints. So we always have different stuff like drummers, big loud flashpoints, or entertainers, so that basically you create the atmosphere, create the ambience. And then we have a big focus on gameplay at our corporate events. So it's team building, it's basically getting people together. You get given a team leader for the table, and you all have to decide what game you're good at and what game you're going to play. You play for points against each other, against other tables. So everybody goes around and watches each other compete. Everybody cheers on the teammates. So there's a lot of engagement. There's a lot of fun. And then we have live performers, singers, dancers, DJs. We had at one of the events, we did a sober conga of 250 people.
oh wow.
It's just like mad stuff. It's mad. It's like crazy, but it's like, well, okay, so why do we need to be boring? What can't I do sober that I have to have a drink for? I can dance, I can have fun, I can chat to people, remember stuff, I can basically have an amazing time, and all without mind-altering substance. So let's do it. It's basically, one of those amazing things. And the atmosphere is always electric, because it's everybody's not quite sure what's going to happen next. There's always something going on. It's, never just the tempo sort of, so it could be, yeah, you think, oh, what, okay, so now there's going to be a lull, and then something else pops out and it's like, oh my God, that was amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the corporate ones because I like to stand back. At some point during the night, I'll always stand back and I'll just watch, have a little look at the whole room, and I think to myself, wow. So not one person's had an alcoholic drink, and look at the engagement, look at the fun, look at the smiles, and that's really powerful.
Yeah.
And then that's the corporate side, and then the club Clartiee is just on a smaller scale. So again, we do a little bit of gameplay. We've got 2 coming up in August, and we've decided to add in a bit of comedy. So we're inviting people to come and perform a bit of comedy, and we're also doing an open mic at 2 of them as well. And then we've got a DJ, to have a dance and have a boogie to finish it all off. So we're giving people some games, some comedy, some live performers, a DJ. So you're getting lots of stuff, lots of engagement, lots of fun, and all together with other people who aren't having any alcohol. So you can be your authentic self. You can come and basically, not worry about being judged, not worry about, you can just be yourself, and that's the most powerful thing.
Yeah, you've really thought about this, haven't you?
I haven't at all. I haven't. Well, to be fair, I think the bit for me was, it's so incredibly hard to change and to change people's perception. I am never gonna, if I went around telling people, don't drink, don't do this, nobody's gonna listen to me. Nobody's gonna listen, because it's just like, and so it's like, okay. And Ben and I had several conversations, and we were like, so we want to, because just having a alcohol-free night, I don't believe would work without having thought about investing what you're going to do, how you're going to engage people, how you're going to, because everybody describes like needing Dutch courage, oh,
that's a one. Yeah. I have friends like that. Yeah. So that's actually
it's like, how do you get rid of that? How do you get rid of that? And you get rid of that by, a bit of engagement, not forcing, but getting, people to do things, step a little bit outside their comfort zone, be engaging with each other. I had a friend who I hadn't seen for 25 years come to one of my Club Clarity nights, and within inside 10 minutes, he was on the dance floor with 2 dancers doing like some absolute mad moves and everything. It was hysterical. And I was just like, I love this, because it's like, this is what it's about. It's about coming and not caring and just going for it.
Yeah. I think people will find it very easy to resonate with you, though. Because like we spoke about before the podcast, I think if you hadn't had a problem with alcohol and you'd set this up, you wouldn't have been able to think of all those things that are possible.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I agree with that. Yeah, I needed to have basically gone on my journey to get an understanding as to what I needed to do. And bizarrely, I describe it as, I went upstairs, and whoever answered the door looked at me and went, "You're not coming in. No chance. You're too annoying. You can go back down and go do something different for a bit." So I got sent back with a new purpose. So I thought, well, I may as well make the most of trying to do something.
Yeah.
May as well come and do something decent with my life.
Yeah, and I honestly believe it like takes people like you that have been through something to get out there and talk, where somebody that's possibly been in a situation like yours with alcohol and seeing you be able to come through the other side, it gives them hope as well that they'll be able to do it. And I think that's a really powerful thing.
Yeah. And, I've got a lot of friends who, suffer and have suffered with addiction. I've lost quite a few friends over the last couple of years, and it is an absolute shit of a thing. Addiction is so horrible, and I've learned I'd love to like help every single person, but ultimately it boils down to that I can only help myself. And you know, you've got to know that I could only make changes myself. I could only do the work myself. You know, I could only be responsible for myself. And, you know, at some point you've got to accept that you've got to do it for you, for no one else, you know, and there is loads of little things that you can do to help yourself. The biggest thing for me was making changes of, you know, where you go, where you hang out, who you spending your time with, you know, not going to the pub. I know that sounds really obvious, but if you're going to go and sit in the pub, then eventually you're going to drink. You know, I think there was a saying I heard: if you sit in a barber's shop, if you sit in a barber's chair for long enough, you'll get your hair cut.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and it's like it is very true, though, isn't it?
Interesting you mentioned friend circle. Did you have to change your friend circle?
Yeah, a little bit, but not loads, because I've always had sort of 4 or 5 really close friends, and I just see those guys in a different format. So where we'd go on nights out, and where we'd, you know, go and have boozy things, and I'll go for walks or have lunch, or, you know, see them in a different format. And when they're going out on their boozy nights, I just say, okay, you know, that's not for me anymore. That's not for me anymore. And it's part of my new life that I don't go out and want to be around loads of drunk people, because why would I guess, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I can socialize and have my time where in an environment that I want to be in and that I choose, not where I'm forcing myself to do something that I'm uncomfortable with.
Yeah, and I bet you have more fun sober anyway, because you can remember everything as well, right?
Yeah. I'm crazy anyway. So I always have fun. I have fun anywhere. So I just make, you know, life's for living, isn't it? Life's for living, and basically it's about enjoying yourself, and being positive and being happy. So yeah.
Yeah. So your eyes now, have you got used to your lack of vision? Are you still walking into lampposts, my lovely? I'm getting a little bit concerned that you might have a head injury if you keep doing that.
No. I've boxed for quite a few years, so where there's no sense, there's no feeling anyway. And yeah, no, literally, I'm okay with where it's at. It's stable at the moment, and that'll do for me. Yes, I still bump into things. Yes, I still, you know, find it frustrating, but that's life. It's okay. It's okay. You know, today I've got what I've got, and I'm okay with that. And that's the most important thing. Being okay with what you've got.
Yeah. Well, I asked this question to everybody. Some people it throws them a little bit. Let's see how you cope with it. Alex, tell me 3 good things about yourself. Yes, I've got you.
Hey, this is, oh my God, this is where I hate. You know, when it's always like, I hate on about myself. 3 good things. Well, I think my passion to try and help other people. Definitely. My strength to have come out the other side, and, you know, to continue, you know, on that path, and acceptance. Yeah, my strength and acceptance. And then probably my fun side, you know, because I always like to have a good time no matter what. You know, always like to smile, and yeah, I do. I like to be silly and have fun. So yeah, I would say those. Thanks for throwing me that really nice curveball.
No, you know what? You are definitely my kind of person. So what is coming up this year, rest of the year or halfway through it, for Clartiee? Where are you taking it?
So Clartiee, September, 11th of September, we've got the UK's first company awards night, but it's not just company awards, it's also a Be the Spirit mixed with the company awards. And Steps Together, who we're doing it with. So we're doing it with Steps Together, raising money for the COA, and ourselves are organising it and running it. Also brought 3 amazing companies, charity, 2 companies together. And we've agreed that we're opening it up to anybody and everybody to be able to come and experience one of our corporate nights. And there's a big early bird discount on till the end of July, so there's 20% off for people, because that's being supported by Steps Together, because they believe in what I believe in, and they want to try and basically showcase, you know, how much of an amazing time you can have on without the assistance of alcohol, effectively. So that's 11th of September. That's going to be massive. That's really, really going to be good. Then November the 22nd, we are doing a something called the Ripple Effect, which isn't out yet, but that's with Alice Hendy, who founded and created Ripple, which is a suicide prevention piece of software. Now it's a charity as well, and we've collabing with her and her charity, and we're doing a big alcohol-free event in Portsmouth on the 22nd of November, which I'm really excited about as well, because again, it's working with amazing people and raising money for amazing charities. Club Clartiee, we've got August, we've got Liverpool and Chester. Then in September and October, we're doing 2 London nights. A secret venue that's getting released. Shortly. And yeah, God knows what else at the moment. I don't know. But yeah, we've got a lot going on, and that's just off the top of my head that I know about. That's been confirmed. We've got other bits bubbling away in the background. So yeah, we're doing some cool stuff, and we're doing some amazing stuff, which is exciting.
Yes, well, I can tell you're going to be busy anyway, because you're just so passionate about it. So I can't wait. So anybody that's listening that goes, right, this is exactly what I'm into and I want to sign up, where can they find you on social media? We'll put all your links up, but if you just tell people as well.
Yeah. So obviously the main corporate site is Clartiee, which is CLARITEE, because obviously it's a play on teetotal. And then I know. Do you know what? Nobody, everybody goes, that's really clever. That's really clever. And it was Bern who came up with it. It was really good, because we battered backwards and forwards loads of name ideas. And yeah, it was. I love it. I love Clartiee. And our saying underneath is helping you see things more clearly.
I love that.
Yeah, which is, it's powerful. So Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, website, Clartiee, Club Clartiee, we're everywhere. And yeah, you know, come and have fun, come and enjoy, you know, one of our nights, come and try what we've got to offer. And if you don't enjoy it, I'll give you your money back. There you go.
Oh wow! There you go.
Do you know what? I'll put my money where my mouth is, and say, if you come to one of our events and you genuinely don't have a good time, I'll give you your money back. Simple. I'm not bothered, because if I've had 1,000 corporates come and all have a good time last year, then I'll put my money where my mouth is and say, if you come and you don't enjoy it, I'll give you your money back.
I love that. Absolutely incredible, mate. Absolutely, like I said to you before the podcast, I massively back what you do, because from a brain health perspective, alcohol does lead to cognitive decline. So your work and seeing you out and about, being a superhero in my eyes, to bring those cognitive decline numbers down, and you know, so I'm all backing what you do.
Oh no, honestly, it means a lot. And to be fair, you know, we just need to all help each other, and that's what I'm a great believer on. Anybody who's doing good work, I'm more than happy supporting, helping, promoting, because the more that we can help each other, the better the world will be. And that's as simple as it is. There's enough crap going on in this world, and there's enough, you know, people going through really tough times without, you know, we all need a bit of, you know, a bit of help from time to time. So yeah, I'm a great believer in trying to help each other.
I love that. Well, thank you for being such an amazing guest. Make sure you follow him, everybody, because he's that passionate. I know he's just going to go and be absolutely everywhere, worldwide.
We'll
I'd say
see.
thank you to your son for saying that, an amazing thing as well that turned your life around. We can't forget him. What a legend.
Yeah, he is a legend. He's my superpower. I call him, that's what I call him, my superpower. He is.
Do you
my
know what I
superpower.
often say? Like, they always say you should never meet your heroes, right? And I always say my son Ben, like I've lived with mine for 19 years, so that rule's gone completely out the window for me, and I'm guessing the same is for you as well. So
yeah, 1,000,000%, 1,000,000%.
Yeah. Alex, you are so lovely, and I love the work you're doing, and thank you for being such an amazing guest.
It's been my pleasure. Genuinely, it's been my pleasure. I've loved chatting to you, and thank you very much, and keep up the amazing work you're doing too.
I will do, my lovely. You take care.